Sport fans, I'm Michael Sakala.
And I'm Brandon Wicker.
And how's everybody been? It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Very festive here inside of Bellasino's on Wildcard Saturday.
Wildcard Saturday. I'm telling you, it is. I'm telling you, I don't know if I've ever lasted this long.
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving. We had. We're not syndicated yet or nothing. There's nobody paying our bills, so we had to do some work on our own and missed a few shows there. We apologize.
We had some travel time involved. I mean, the holidays came around and whatnot, and we were able to put some stuff out there and some writings and whatnot to keep the show going. But we're back live with the playoffs.
We football excited.
We are. But before we get into football excited, let's talk about the new baby in Chicago. Did you hear this news? Huh?
Cubs win.
Apparently, at 12:12 a.m. on New Year's morning, I guess it would be considered, the first baby was born in Chicago. A little girl. You know what her
12
name?
minutes, huh?
What's that?
It took 12 minutes? 12, not 12:01?
12. Apparently she was born on 12/12. Happy, proud daddy, Mr. Aaron, had a nice little baby boy, or little girl. Do you know what he named her?
No, I don't.
Wrigley Rose. How about that, huh?
Wrigley Rose.
And apparently, like I was saying earlier, there was a little father down the road who's a little upset. He's a Cleveland fan. Apparently, his son was born on 12/13. They called him Injun Joe. Injun Joe, little Cleveland Joe. So let's just jump right on into my favorite.
God, he's smelling up the joint again.
This one is the stinker of the season.
Oh.
And my stinker of the season, and I'm sure you're probably going to agree, has to go to Superman turned back to Clark Kent, Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers.
He does stink pretty bad.
I mean, I looked up some information on him.
Not only numbers, but attitude-wise.
Everything. I mean, that West Coast travel they had. You come to find out they were going to strip joints every night. No wonder they sucked up on the field. But I was just looking. I mean, in 2015, he had a 99.4 passer rating. He had a pass completion rating of almost 60%. He threw for
Which is still a little low.
He threw over 3,800 yards. Here's the big one. He had 35 touchdowns to 10 interceptions.
Which is a nice ratio.
This year, his ratings are almost 76%. His completion rating was 52. He threw for 3,500 yards, but this is the big kicker. 19 touchdowns to 14 interceptions.
And if I'm looking at that right, he actually threw the ball 15 more times.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. He might want to go back to rushing, because in 15, he had 132 attempts for 636 yards and 10 touchdowns. This year, only 90 attempts for 359 yards and 5 touchdowns.
You remember he was playing that wah-wah game. You touch me, I cry.
He needs to go back to running the ball, I think. I mean, at the end of the day, in 15, they were 15-1 in the regular season, won the division, and were the NFC champs. This year, they won 6-10 and were last in their division. I think it's time to go back to running the ball. Get him a better helmet. I don't know, maybe give him extra hip pads and rib pads. He needs to run the ball, because guess what? You sucked if not. You're not a quarterback who throws the ball, son. I'm sorry.
This is the only nice comment you can make, and it actually has nothing to do with Newton. It came from the bench on the last game of the season after they relinquished the game to Tampa. They fought their way back and went for the 2-point conversion in the end, didn't make it, and lost 17-16.
Yeah, no, that was a
good
game.
Call.
That was a good game. I'm telling you, I watched that game. Next, I'd like to go into what we learned this season. The one thing I learned this season, you tell me, Chippy really is a genius. He got fired and got out of that freaking that wildfire mess in San Francisco.
Well, the team may or may not be a mess. I don't know how you look at it, but I think he is a mess. He needs to go back to college football if they'll have him.
I think Rex can talk the talk, but obviously he's got a limp when it comes to walking the walk. He just ain't all there. I think it's time. He needs to go back to being a defensive coordinator. He is not a head coach.
Right,
I think his dad wasn't either, but we're not going to go there.
That's just the thing. Now we're going to have what? We got in Denver, he's got to step away because of health.
Yeah.
We've got Buffalo. We've got the Rams. We've got the Chargers. We've got Jacksonville. We possibly have the Saints. I think there's one more out there. But two things that, one thing I'm happy for, and the other one I was like, really? I thought the Cleveland coach should stay, and he did. I think he's good for the team. You can't judge him on the one season. Very surprised, and I like the guy, that the Jets didn't get rid of Bowles based on just like what you just said. The guy's an excellent defensive coordinator, but apparently he does not have it as a coach.
No, I think
Todd Bowles.
No,
but when he's a defensive coordinator, it's just like I hope Denver doesn't take Wade Phillips and step him up, because every time he's a coordinator, he's fantastic. Every time they move him into those big shoes, he's no good.
I think what some of these coaches need to learn, know your role. You know what I mean? If you're a defensive guru-minded person, just stay there. Deal. Ask for more money. Get a raise. Don't move up, because you're right. These guys they can't run a whole team. They just aren't good at it.
I forget who was mentioning this. It was a week or so ago. Somebody I was talking to. And seemingly they do this all the time. You know, you hear this rarely. Like John Harbaugh is an example. You know, of the norm. The norm is, okay, this team went somewhere. They had a great offensive coordinator or a great defensive coordinator. That's the next guy on the list for everybody to hire. If you look around, there's really not many of those who have translated. Not a bunch, right? But like John Harbaugh, he was just a special teams coach.
Yeah.
So therefore, he gets himself a good offensive coordinator and a good defensive coordinator, and he's not stepping on their feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where he like the defensive coordinator gets named the coach. Is he got too much on his plate, sticking and trying to play with the defense?
Yeah.
Or does you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. It's like
I mean, should some coaches, as they call it, now they have these apparently these quarterbacks that manage the game. How about a coach that manages the team? Give yourself, get your team guys together, your coordinators, get all these specialty coordinators, and just manage those guys and let them do what they need to do and focus on one thing. Because after a while, you can only juggle so many things that go on. I mean, another thing we learned is that Fisher, like you brought up, Fisher has finally been let go. Now, he was paid to leave and whatnot,
right.
Maybe good for the Rams.
And the whole point here is we got like 6 or 7 openings. Now, I wonder where this is going to come from. Are we going to regurgitate the same thing that's been going around? Is the team that goes to the Super Bowl going to lose their coordinators? How's that going to pan out?
Yeah. Usually that's what happens when New England, they just strip New England of all their coaches and they get spread all over the league.
Yeah, but even the branches off of Belichick haven't.
No, they seem to. Now, speaking of Belichick and the Pats, one thing we did learn, and I know you're going to hate this, even if you suspend a guy for 4 games, they still go 14-2. This team, what do you say about these guys? Really,
I don't have.
They're so consistent.
They're
it's
good
ridiculous.
teams. I'm not going to go overboard with it.
One other thing I learned, that 2 rookies can make a right in Big D. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not too sure what they're going to do in the second season come playoffs, but they did all right this year. They did all right.
They've exceeded the norm. Above the norm. Put it that way.
And the last thing I learned,
and that's much easier to do for a running back than a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
It's harder for a QB.
The last thing I learned this season was going to your first Cowboy game in Texas, and it's a Sunday night game, playing the Birds, you win in overtime, priceless. Absolutely priceless. I can't wait till next year to go back again. I really can't.
Did you use your MasterCard on that?
Oh, yes, I did. And got the points.
All
got
right.
the points. Now, here we go. Playoffs.
Playoffs?
We're talking about playoffs. We're talking about Oakland traveling to Houston. We'll go with the first game. What do you got?
I'll give you my quick assessment on that one. You did ask me earlier in the week. I couldn't really reply. I was busy. This is why I'm taking the Raiders, even though I know they're down to Connor Cook. Houston has a good pass-orientated defense. I think they're second to Denver. So even with Carr there, they weren't going to have a great throwing day, and you don't really need to. I think they can beat them on their defense and ground game. Nobody really gives the Raiders any credit. They ran the ball really exceptionally well this season. As soon as I heard it, I might have gone the other way if Tom Savage was going to quarterback Houston, but once I found out that he's not and it's Brock Osweiler, I got to go Raiders, hands down. They'll run Osweiler out of the pocket, just cream him.
A couple notes I got on here is I start off like you did with Connor Cook, the Michigan State quarterback. Is he really going to go into Texas and win?
No, he's going to manage the game if he's lucky.
I also got on here Asperger. Is he really going to play to the $70 million that he's been paid? Probably not. I'm with you though. Both teams have a very good attack when it comes to running the ball. So I don't think either one has I think they both have the upside. They both run the ball very well. The next question is, which wide receiver combo do you fear? I don't really think either one. I don't think you got to worry about Cooper or Bradtree or Hopkins or Fuller. I don't think either one of them scares the defense.
Raiders have the edge because just Crabtree and Cooper have done better as a combo.
The edge
But of course, they've had a better quarterback too throwing to
the edge I go with this game is on the defensive side with the Texans. I think we're getting some turnovers. I think they're going to pull off more turnovers than the Raiders, which gives them the edge. Because the only other factor I think is going to be a big factor in this game is from a kicking standpoint. Do you like the Pollock or do you like Novak? I'd obviously have to take.
They're both good.
I'd have to take Janikowski.
In a pinch, I'd take the Pollock.
I think when it's all said and done, I'm going with the Texans 24-21, simply because they're going to get more turnovers off of Cookie than they get off of Asperger.
I'll go with the Raiders 17-10.
So obviously I lose because our head-to-heads, I suck. The second game, we got Detroit traveling to Seattle.
Now, earlier in the week, I don't know if you changed your mind, but you told me Seattle, and I'm going to be the opposite of that, of course. I'm going for Detroit. Unless I see a game out of Seattle that I haven't seen in about 8 or 9 weeks, I think Detroit can go into their 12th man arena and come out victorious. I really do.
Well, I just realized when we're talking about playoffs, I'm still wearing this silly hat. I actually got a...
Well, most Cowboy fans are silly.
Yes, we are. But I actually went out and got a special headgear simply for the playoffs that it actually
look at that.
gives me special mental powers. I forgot to put the damn thing on. That tells you how stupid I am.
You forgot the envelope, mighty tarmac.
Oh, yeah.
You have to, okay,
That's right. I got to start doing it, huh? Well, here's some questions I got when it comes to the Detroit and the Seattle game.
All right.
What's more important, a finger or a leg when it comes to the quarterbacks?
Legs.
So you think Russell's leg's more important than Matt's finger?
Yeah.
All right, I'm thinking both. But then it's like, who establishes a running attack? Detroit or Seattle? That's the question.
Neither team all season has really relied on one. And over the past 4 games, I'd say equally Detroit has ran the ball as well as Seattle with Rawls.
I kind of agree. I say the same thing. I think they just used the run to break it up to keep defenses. Then, which combo wide receivers do you fear on this one? Tate or Jones Jr. or is it Baldwin or Graham?
See, when you throw Graham in the mix, that's the only thing.
That's what I want. I went with the edge with Graham because he can be a beast and he's a nightmare matchup.
I was explaining to Gary, the owner of Bellicinos, before this started, that's who they have to worry about. If they can, stick a linebacker on Graham that's good enough to chuck him at the line, hold him down, which has been done before to him, remember?
Yes,
that's how
right.
he used to beat the Saints. Could happen.
Then, what defense causes more trouble? Detroit or Seattle?
When they're on Seattle, I can't deny that.
I'm thinking that 12th man does make a difference sometimes, just in regards to their defensive backs. And then the last one is probably going to be the kicker. Which coach makes the bonehead friggin' mistake and chances on something to lose the game? You going with Jimmy Boy or Petey?
Caldwell's not going to make a mistake. He's too calm, too refined. He will not.
See, I went with Jimbo. I'm thinking, of course, he's going to make the mistake and go for something. I think it's going to be on a 3rd down. Inside, say that inside Seattle.
Caldwell's too conservative.
He's going to throw that interception. I'm going with myself. I'm taking the Seahawks 31-17.
Then you would be against Jim Bob Cooter, not Caldwell.
Cooter, yeah.
Okay, I'm going a real close one. A field goal wins it. 35-31 Detroit.
Wait a minute. You're taking Detroit and I'm taking Seattle? Damn, I'm going to lose that one too. Now, it was just brought to my attention going across our screen and no one can see. Apparently, we have someone else with a pick. Our producer's got a pick.
She's taking the Raiders and Lions.
Wow, she's going with the Raiders and Lions. And I went with Seahawks.
And I didn't get my information from
This hat sucks because I just lost 2 in a row.
I didn't get my information from the producer, by the way. This is just...
So, then we go into Sunday.
Right,
Miami traveling to Pittsburgh. Everybody's making this out to be the easiest one of the weekend.
And I have to agree, mainly because of the quarterback situation in Miami. I just can't put the faith in Matt Moore like I can in Ben Roethlisberger.
And it's funny.
And it's at Pittsburgh, and he plays lights out at Heinz Field.
And it's funny because the first thing I got on here, would you rather have Matt Moore or Tanierius compared to Big Ben?
Right.
I mean, obviously you want the big boy.
Then the next thing you're going to ask me is receivers, and you know I'm going Pittsburgh for that
Wait, well, who do you think runs wild? What do you call it?
Bell?
Ajaya, or however how you say that kid's name, or Bell? I think both of them are going to have a pretty good game.
Bell had a
as far
better
as that.
season. Bell's a more complete back. They're not using the other one totally like they should.
Yeah.
Ajay all the time.
And then I
Gaze
do.
will get that team turned around, but it's not this year.
And I do. I agree with you. When it comes to the wide receivers, I think Landry's going to have some success. But Brown, I mean, they're not going to be able to stop him.
Nah.
I'm thinking 100 plus
Even-
yards, 2-3 touchdowns. He's going on.
Even Pittsburgh's secondary receivers are pretty damn good.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but for the first time in history, we are going to see the killer bees on the field at the same time in the playoffs. We got Big Ben, Bell, and Brown on the field at the same time. They've
There you
never
go.
played together in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
To me, that right there, that triple threat combo, somebody's getting stung. You know what I mean? I'm taking Pittsburgh 43-24 over the Bills.
All
Big
right.
game. Then we move on to, I guess, the grand finale of them all, the grand poobah. Everybody's talking about the G-Men traveling to Green Bay.
And as a Packer fan, you never pick the team that you're for. You never go hog wild over them in case you get stomped on. I'll say the same thing I told you. If we play a mistake-free game and get the Christmas gifts that Eli Manning likes to give, we'll win the game. If we don't, we're not going to win the game. The Giants bring a pretty formidable defense in there. Rodgers is going to have a hard enough time with their secondary. I need Eli to be Eli. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He can get off track sometimes and give you 2 or 3. He can give you a pick 6 and then turn around and fumble it to you. You know what I'm saying? I need that kind of game out of him.
Well, I wrote down this.
The weather's not going to affect him. So.
Yeah. They both play in cold weather. I wrote this down. The first thing I wrote down, Mr. Cool or relax. I mean, does it really make a difference? They're both incredible quarterbacks. So I think that's a pick-up. You can take whoever you want. Both teams use the run, in my opinion. They just use that to keep the defenses honest. So I don't think their running's going to make a difference. Here's the question you got to ask yourself. Who do you fear more? The Miami Justin Bieber Yacht Club team of Beckham Jr., Shepard, and Cruz, or the Packers pack, Nelson, Adams, or Cobb? Which wide receiver crew do you fear the most out of that when it comes to that team?
Aside from the nut bag with the multicolored hair, it would be Green Bay's, if you ask me. Shepard's coming into his own. Cruz is out of the mix. The other ones, I mean, he's just a nutso when he gets the ball in his hands.
See, I'm
Beckham's
going
the
with,
one to worry about. I don't worry about the 3 of them, but I worry about Beckham.
see, I'm going with the Yacht Club. And if I could just quote Justin Bieber, what do I mean? I just feel that the G-Men have a better defense and a better defensive
You know
back.
it's Justin Bieber, right? Yeah, not Bieber, Beaver.
Beaver, whatever. Defense again, I'm going with the fact that the Giants have a better defense.
Giants have a better D.
To me, there's a couple things here. The Giants can keep this close. They got a shot. But if the Packers come out the gates doing 98, this game could be over quick. So, who do you got in this one?
Should I do one of yours? Like 28-27 Green Bay?
Wow. Holy moly, so you're going with the Packers.
I have to.
Well, again.
Somebody twisted my arm and I wore this shirt and everything, so.
Well, again, I hate to go Justin on you, but when I nod my head yes, but I want to say no, you know what I mean. I'm taking the G-Men, and I fear saying that because they're going to go to Dallas the following week and I think beat their ass. I got the G-Men winning this one 31-30 in an absolute classic frozen tundra battle of all battles.
Just remember, I told you what it would take to win that game. If we don't get there, we're not winning.
Well, from what I understand, the producer's going with Pittsburgh and the Packers as well. So apparently, you guys have won, other than Pittsburgh, you won against me in the first game. So my Texans lose. You all agree to Pittsburgh. You guys are all taking the lines. I went with Seattle, so I lose that one. You guys are all taking the Packers. I went with the G-Men. I'm going to go 1-3. That pretty much sucks. Hey, guys, let me ask you something.
We didn't give you the side part, right? We're
Maybe
going to get free pizzas and a grinder for going for Detroit.
Speaking of
We
free
don't get
pizzas,
any.
Speaking of free pizzas and grinders, Garrett, who do you like? Out of the 4 games, what do you got?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh? What about Raiders and Texans?
Tough one to call.
Texans.
Texans?
He's going Texas.
How about your game, your Lions?
I think they can beat Seattle.
Hey, you hear
And how
that?
about the classic, the final frontier?
Final one?
Green Bay, New York.
That's a tough one.
It is.
Go ahead, I won't hate you. Go ahead.
That's a tough one.
You taking Giants?
I think Green Bay will beat them.
Green Bay?
Wow,
All
you
right.
heard that, didn't
Now,
you?
I noticed that, Bob and Ben over here walked in. Let me ask you guys something over there. What do you got? Who do you got for these next 4 games coming up to play?
That's actually a cat and mouse team over there, Tom and Jerry, and I'm not kidding you. It's Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry, for real? Gotta believe it. So who you guys like? Who do you like? Who you got?
Jerry can't answer that, Tom can.
Oh.
Yeah. Jerry's
I
a
didn't
Florida
think-
cracker. Yeah.
For the games, I have, I'll go with Green Bay.
Green Bay.
I'll go with, probably Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like them.
Yeah, you know when it gets down to here, likes got nothing to do with it. So you're good with that one.
Obviously New England, or no, New England.
No.
Yeah. Seattle or the Lions?
I prefer the Lions.
But
I don't
you're-
know that they can do it.
But what do you think's going to happen?
Well, it all depends on what Seattle does.
Okay, so
Seattle shows up.
he's teetering with me, but he's leaning Lions. Okay.
If they play like they have for the last couple of weeks, then it's going to be really
Did you get him on Houston Raiders yet?
No. And then lastly, Houston Raiders.
That's a tough one. I
2 great quarterbacks playing, just so you know. Two great quarterbacks playing that game.
Yeah.
He's going
Well,
Houston.
all right, so I got a couple going for me. And then lastly, we got the national championship. We have
A repeat
Clemson
of last
and
year.
Bama. A repeat of last year's incredible championship football game. What do you got on this soon-to-be classic?
What I have on this, pretty much most people would probably want to rush the counter here and choke me. I have Alabama winning again, and the reason why is defense. When you get to this end of the season, this level of play, defense matters. Remember that game we were watching earlier in the year with Clemson and Louisville? Neither one could do anything except score another touchdown over the other one. Well, you ain't going to do that in this game. Defense is a premium. I heard Gabo Sweeney say they played their best game last week against Ohio State, 31-0. Well, if they played their best game, they better have one more in them, and it better be played better than it was against Ohio State if they're going to beat Alabama. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the first thing I wrote down is that Clemson front 4, from what I understand, the majority of them are made up of freshmen. They're fast. And the thing is, and I think where they got his chance is this guy Hurts from Bama, their quarterback. He's not the greatest throwing quarterback.
He knows
He's
how to
more of
run,
a
though.
running kind of
He
guy.
knows how to run.
And I think they're going to be able to run his ass down. I think, you're right. When they talk about Bama, they talk about their defense being the best of all time, which comes from the Minions movie. I can see that. But I do think Watson will make a couple plays here and there to keep this game
You know what
going.
slows down the rush, don't you? A good running game, and Alabama has one of those.
Yeah,
they don't need a
got
great throwing
chance.
game.
You're right, I will, because that kid, I think he's like 238 pounds and he's a friggin'
Yeah,
beast.
he's a hammer.
But if we remember last year, Nicky Boy had to do an onside kick to get the ball back to score because he was fearful. He could not stop Clemson from scoring.
Yeah, it's just the thing. I'm not going to cry if they don't win, but it's going to take a heck of a game for Clemson to knock off.
I think it's
Alabama's
tough.
where they are because of the way they play.
No, I do. You're right, but I tell you what, I am, and I guess I lose this one too, because I am taking the Tigers 38-35 over Bama this year. Tide does not roll on.
That's a lot of points.
There's going to be a lot of points. I'm telling you, it's going to be just like it was last year. These two are just going to go off on each other.
All right.
Did you see the size of those wide receivers that Clemson's got? And you're right. Will Bama, maybe they'll use the run to try to set up some play action. Isn't Bama in the NFL? They should be. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The question is, how many times is Nick going to win, and does he ever move on? Does he ever leave Bama to coach somewhere else?
I would not. He's in the
Or
dream
you
world.
just
I'd
stay
stay right where
you
I'm
are,
at.
just roll with it.
I'd roll with it.
Well, then I guess it's work the room.
Might as well.
Yeah.
The offensive coordinator, the new one.
Yeah, how about that? Let me go.
Steve
What do you think
Durkee's
about
in here right
that?
before the game.
How about that? We're getting ready for kickoff. Why don't you just go teach your,
Who you got?
what is it, your Florida UA or whatever frig you went to? So.
Florida Atlantic.
Producer, who you going with?
Who you got? Clemson, Alabama. Who you got?
Beginning of the year, I said Alabama.
Okay,
I'll
Gary's
stay-
got Alabama.
I'll stay with them.
Bama?
Tom?
I have to go with Alabama.
We got another
Bama?
Alabama.
But I have to go with Alabama.
Apparently there's no South
Nobody,
Carolina
yeah,
people.
there's nobody here for Clemson.
Jerry, you
huh?
want to spit one out there? Jerry's for Florida. Oh, sorry, they're not
Oh,
playing.
he's taking Florida? All right, good. Nice, nice. Well, there you have it, everybody. We got ourselves 2 days of good time,
That'll be
hard-nosed
fun.
football coming. I think every game is going to be somewhat competitive.
we
I
know-
think that, and again, I think that, and then the Classic's going to be Monday. We're going to have a high-scoring college football game that's going to end in an exciting
And we
fashion.
apologize for going over, but we haven't got to talk this much for what, a month and a half? So
Yeah, again, I mean, I haven't went this long in my life. You can ask my wife. All right, everybody, enjoy your weekend and have a wonderful, wonderful New Year's 2017.
Go Green
All
Bay.
right.